How's it rockin', Dween Nation? You're listening to the Dween Sports Podcast. We're about to get underway. But before you give us a listen, we'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe, and share. We are posting weekly sports content, and we want to build up the brand that is Dween Sports. Thank you all, and enjoy.
Welcome in, Dween Nation. This is your host, Justin Paez, alongside Genoa Agudelo, and we are talking Week 12 of the NFL season. Starts and sits of the week. We are here to help you with your fantasy lineups. Guys you need to play, guys you need to sit. You guys know the drill. But before we dive into all that, how you doing, Genoa?
Yo, Dween Nation. Justin, I'm doing good. It's week 12. I remember, Justin, that week 12 always landed on Thanksgiving week, but with the extra kind of schedule and even the game on the schedule, but even the season starting a week back, which was fun. We're week 12, so that's kind of why things seem a little, week 12? But yeah, week 12 is here. Road to the fantasy playoffs there. I'm in the thick of it in some leagues and some not. But hey, Justin, this is where football gets fun here, where teams are looking to kind of make their way to the playoffs, clinch a division. So basically, a really fun time here in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's why we're here. Like we're here to help. This episode in particular is here to help you guys. If you got decisions, this guy or this guy, and then you hear this guy's name on our episode today, it really helps know if you need to play him or you need to sit him. And I'll start us off here at quarterback. I got Bo Nix, who went bonkers last week against the Falcons. 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. They won 38-6. It was a blowout, and I think this week might be a really similar kind of game. The Raiders have been very underwhelming, and I just think Bo Nix is on a heater right now. If he has another massive performance like he did last week, he might get his name right up there with Jaden Daniels in the Rookie of the Year voting for the offensive side. Like, he has been really good. The Broncos are right over 500, so they're in the thick of the playoffs. I believe they right now would be in the playoffs if I'm not wrong. And so he's just been playing really great. He's got a great matchup. They're bottom 5 against quarterbacks. And it's just this team's offense is finally clicking with Sean Payton. We hadn't seen it since he's gotten there, but it's finally starting to work with this rookie quarterback, and I think he's a great play.
Yeah, Justin, definitely like what Bo Nix has been able to do there. This Broncos offense is kind of taking off there. We even saw Javonte Williams score a touchdown last week, and I don't think they, hold back this upcoming week in Vegas there. A team that they dominated, last month, I believe, and now, they get their matchup in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. So definitely like Bo Nix. Sean Payton's definitely kind of, developing this offense in the right way, and it's very exciting for Broncos fans and fantasy owners. So that's good. For me, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. They're on a 3 or 4 game winning streak. And looking at this Cardinals team, they are eyeing that division, Justin, and it all falls into the hands of Kyler Murray. This is his division to win, Justin. This division, this NFC West, all lies in the hands of one Kyler Murray. And you know what? They get a team that they can easily beat, right? I'm not the biggest fan of Geno Smith. Obviously, had a game-winning touchdown in San Francisco last week, so I'm not going to give him the sucks title this week. He gets a pass. The Geno Smith sucks. Does not get used this week. He gets a pass. But you know what? This Seattle team, they're very beatable, right? And he has the targets, right? Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and I'm waiting for that Michael Wilson breakout game. I think it happens this week in Seattle. Geno Smith is known to, this week to kind of give it away and to put teams in really good fielding positions. I just like the way Kyler Murray can use his legs, and the running game is starting to take off there, Justin. James Conner is hot right now, and Trey Benson is also getting up there in volume and yards. So it's very interesting and very exciting to be a Cardinals fan. I just really believe that this Cardinals team is really about to take off. This backstretch of the season, Kyler Murray is about to take off. He has matchups that are must wins. Every game throughout the season for the Cardinals are must wins. And I think that it's time. He had a great game on the road against Miami. He's just on fire right now. Give me Kyler Murray after the bye week. His receivers are all rested, ready to go. Jonathan Gannon has kind of put a new better game plan, and I think that they can execute and definitely attack this Seattle defense. So Kyler Murray, start of the week.
No, I like that a lot. I mean, Kyler's been really good over the last month. top 8 at quarterback. Obviously, they had the bye week, so hopefully that doesn't halt any momentum they had. You could argue just gets them better and more well rested, as you mentioned. So that's exciting for them. And then it's a division matchup. Obviously, the 49ers didn't look good against the Seahawks defense last week, but I kind of attribute that maybe more to Kittle being out, and I don't know. It wasn't the game we were expecting from Purdy in that offense, besides Jawan Jennings, who had a great game. But with Kyler, he's able to move around. He's got the weapons, great underrated weapons with Marvin, Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, James Conner. I expect a really good game out of all of them. So I like that there. I think that this is going to be a good game to watch. So Kyler's a good play there. For me, at the running back position, I got Brian Robinson Jr., Washington Commanders running back, plays arguably the worst rushing defense in the NFL in the Dallas Cowboys. They are 30th against running backs. Obviously, we saw Joe Mixon just go for 3 touchdowns and over 100 yards rushing. Obviously, I'm not saying that kind of game, but with Robinson, second game back from injury, Eckler's going to be taking his receiving opportunities, which is unfortunate, but I think Washington's going to be up, and they're just going to be running the ball down their throats all game. And Brian Robinson, I feel like he's kind of due. He hasn't had a big game over the last almost 2 months now, really, and it's just due to some injuries and game script. But I think this is that spot for him against a struggling Dallas Cowboys defense.
Yeah, Justin. I mean, man, that Cowboys, rushing defense is definitely the worst there. They've been gashed all year. And it's just too many names to fulfill. And I just think that, Brian Robinson, he's going to have definitely a great game. And I do think that he's missed a couple games there. I think kind of, Eckler's done a so-so job kind of filling in for him. I think that Robinson actually returned last week, actually, and he did score a touchdown against that tough, Philadelphia defense. And so, I do like Brian Robinson for sure this week. Like I mentioned, this Commanders defense is definitely going to be a defense that will definitely put their offense in great fielding positions with Cooper Rush. And that, there's going to be some, offensive linemen that are going to possibly miss for the Cowboys. So, definitely there's going to be a lot of rushing in this game. You can never go wrong with B-Rob there. He's having a fantastic season when he's healthy. I'm glad to see him kind of, being, the number one kind of, running back there in Washington, after that, disastrous event and it's going into his rookie year. But definitely love B-Rob there. Great pick. In fact, I think you kind of stole it from me, Justin. I was about to say him, but I'll go another route. I'll go a guy who had a great game last week on Sunday Night Football. And his name is J.K. Dobbins. Welcome back, J.K. Dobbins there. Good to see it. Justin, I remember being with you in a couple events, and we got the news J.K. Dobbins one year, tearing his ACL. I think you drafted him that year. And then, the next year after that, he didn't play much. And then the year after that, he tore his ACL again. It's good to see him back in the league with the new home. And he's getting the touches there. I kind of, obviously I was rooting for Cincy last week, but it was good to see J.K. Dobbins put that, finishing touches to a magnificent win last week on Sunday Night Football. And I like him this week there. They do face the Ravens. Obviously, the Ravens are a tough, rushing defense. But I think that, LA has a lot of different moves up their sleeve there. If you know anything about this Jim Harbaugh staff, they have Greg Roman, who's the offensive coordinator. And Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator just a few years ago with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens with John Harbaugh. So you got to make the argument that Greg Roman knows the ins and outs to kind of how to attack this John Harbaugh defense. And this Ravens defense is probably one of the worst in the John Harbaugh era. And, I think that with Jim Harbaugh, little brother there, and I do think he's a little brother, but with Greg Roman, I think he has the kind of formula how to move the ball on this team. I think that a lot of people are going to expect maybe that Justin Herbert to kind of pass. But, I do like, J.K. Dobbins have a great game receiving the ball as well. And I do think that he is a really good sneaky start this week. I think he's a dark horse to possibly finish number 1 on the week. So give me some J.K. Dobbins there on Monday Night Football.
I'm really interested that you said that name. I mean, Dobbins has been obviously one of the stories of the season, could argue be the comeback player of the year kind of story. He's been really great. But last week he did have the game-winning touchdown, but that really saved his fantasy day against a porous defense. I mean, he had 18 points total, but it was that last-minute touchdown. And the Ravens are a pretty good defense against running backs, so I think they might be at a point where they're passing him more. Now, maybe to me, Dobbins is going to get his hay and his points this week from catching the football from Justin Herbert, getting those PPR points, receptions. I think that's the way for him. I think on the ground it's going to be tough, though. And, he only had 11 touches, but he still commands over 70% of the snaps. So he's on it for more than majority of on the field for more than majority, compared to Gus Edwards. But this is a tough one. I don't love it, but you probably have to start him if he's in your league. And I wouldn't be like crazy scared, but that's kind of my thoughts on it. Going to wide receiver, I got Malik Nabers. Coming off bye, I feel like we haven't really touched on the Giants. We feel like they haven't played in a while, really, because their last game was a early Germany game against the Panthers. Now he gets a new, Malik Nabers got a new quarterback in Tommy DeVito, which has me a little excited. But then you get the matchup against the Buccaneers, who have been really bad against wide receivers. I think Malik Nabers gets that post-bye rookie bump that is a normal thing for rookie wide receivers and just rookies in general. But I feel like Nabers needs to stamp his. This is the back half of the year that they're not going to make the playoffs or anything. They're going to be a bottom 5 to 7 pick in the draft. Make a name for yourself. Have a really good shine to the rest of your season. I think this is going to be a good game for him. I even like some of the other pass catchers for the Giants. I like Tracy at the running back position. Theo Johnson's like a DFS sleeper for tight end. But Nabers himself is my start of the week for wide receiver.
Yeah, Justin, looking at Nabers, he struggled really the past 3 to 4 games there. He really hasn't had a really good game, kind of dating back to that Pittsburgh game, maybe kind of way further back, looking into that game versus the Cowboys on that Thursday night football matchup. And it's kind of time for him to get back on the scene there. This is a guy, like I mentioned in previous episodes, he's going to be picked probably in the first 3 to 4 rounds of next year's draft. He gets kind of a somewhat of an upgrade with Tommy DeVito there, throwing him the football. So let's see what he can do there. This was a quarterback that I was hoping he'd get to start really early in this year. Daniel Jones has never been that guy. So very excited to see, he does get a lot of targets. The past 3 games, he's got over 10 or more targets. So definitely looking forward to that. And so I do think that the quarterback upgrade gets him, a better start for this week. And, Tampa Bay, like I mentioned, they're not really all that good of a defense. So I think I think I would say he's probably going to struggle the first half to kind of get that, flow going with Tommy DeVito. But I definitely think the second half, he can probably get a late touchdown, go ahead, possibly. For me, this is a guy, I'm going to go with the guy that was drafted in the first round, and the guy that has been okay this year, and that is Tyreek Hill. Going into this year, Tyreek Hill was so dominant last year, and then we get to this year, and we think, no matter the quarterback that's throwing to him, he's still going to be great. And so, that was honestly not the direction at all. In fact, he's really struggled without Tua, but now Tua's been kind of back now for a month. I do think that this is a game now against the Patriots that, Tyreek Hill historically has done good against the Patriots, whether he was a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, whether he was a member, of now the Miami Dolphins. And I do think that, now that they're going to be home this week, I believe. And are they home? I do think that they're home. I think that, Tyreek Hill is going to have a great game this week. He's such a great, player at home. I think he did have a touchdown last week. And I think that it kind of continues. I think, finally now he kind of gets over 100 yards. Tyreek Hill's only at 500 yards this year, where this time last year he was already hitting 1,000, 1,200, 1,000 or 1,200. So definitely this is kind of, I would imagine that Tyreek Hill wants to get to 500. And this is the game that's going to get him closer to it. So give me Tyreek Hill this week.
Yeah, I like Tyreek. Obviously, name value says almost enough, but it's a pretty solid matchup. He probably will pull Christian Gonzalez, but Tyreek runs around the offense, has a lot of motion, so he's going to be on all sides of the field. And with Miami, they're in the 9 seed right now. They need to get to the 7 seed to make the playoffs in the wild card, and I think they're going to be determined to do so. We finally saw Tyreek get back in the end zone. He's being more involved. I think it's just going to continue to slowly ramp up until he's back to his, star form, and I think this is a week that he'll continue to do so. So I like that pick there as your start of the week for wide receiver. Moving to the sad part of our episode, it's the sit of the week. The players where they should be on your bench, not your starting lineup. And I got Chubba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, this will be the debut of Jonathan Brooks. I guess in America. Did he play in that? Actually, maybe he didn't
I
play
don't
in
think
that.
he did. I think he was a late scratch.
Okay, so this is his debut as a rookie. I'm not saying he's going crazy and they're just going to start handing the keys to the offense to Jonathan Brooks. But I do think he'll steal some touches. And you play, to me, an angry Chiefs team who are very good on defense, blatantly, especially in the run game. I know James Cook got in the end zone last week, but his yardage wasn't there. And I think Chuba, unless he falls in the end zone, he is not getting you any fantasy points. And it's just not going to be a good week for him. I think the Chiefs are going to be up by a lot, and they're not going to want to use their newly extended man late in the game. So I'm not high on Chuba this week.
Yeah, Justin, this is actually a decision I'm trying to figure out. Do I start Kareem Hunt, Pacheco? There's a lot of factors that I'm thinking about here, and that's definitely a good sit there because Kansas City is ranked number 1, and there could be a chance that Kansas City goes up 21, 24-0, and Bryce Young is pretty much pass, or even maybe like Bryce Young is struggling so bad that they might even throw in Andy Dalton, which we don't see much of Chubba Hubbard because they're just trying to throw there. Very concerning, even with Jonathan Brooks there. This is a guy that they've been waiting for to debut all season long. I'm pretty sure Dave Canales is trying to get in Jonathan Brooks some snaps there, and so maybe that might be a factor there as the kind of the second team flows in there. So definitely a good call there for me. I'm going to go with Rico Dowdle there. Last week he only had 10 carries for like 28 something yards. And I think Dowdle could actually be a good running back, Justin, a good fantasy running back, but he just does not get the volume, does not get the carries. Mike McCarthy historically has not really been a big fan of rushing the football. Even when they had Pollard and Zeke there in their heyday with McCarthy at the helm, really not even a guy that he looked to, rush there. Even like when he was in Green Bay, he got rid of Eddie Lacy and then turned, I don't know if you remember, Ty Montgomery, a receiver, into a running back there. And so, McCarthy's never been a rushing kind of guy. Not to mention last week against my Texans, Deuce Vaughn got some snaps, Zeke got some snaps. And then on top of it all, Justin, we're not even sure if, the Commanders are going to run so wild. We're not even sure the Cowboys are going to have time to rush the football. As Cooper rushed through 55 times last week. Unbelievable there. So definitely not a fan of Rico Dowdle at all this week, especially on the road.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. With Rico, it's not. Yeah, as you mentioned, I think he's a good back. It's not on him. The fact that the Cowboys they're just going to be down in all these games by a lot of points, and it looked like especially when they were down by multiple scores against the Texans, and even the week before that, they start looking to Deuce Vaughn and Zeke Elliott. So it's kind of like they're not trying to run Rico, when they're not competitive in these games. And I think, unfortunately, for the rest of the season, it's not going to look that way, especially against a Commanders team where I think Washington's going to be out in front quickly, that Rico's just not going to get the opportunities he needs to make a big fantasy impact. So I completely agree. That's a guy I'm staying away from this week. A kicker that I'm not staying away from as part of our Kickers of the Week segment is a guy you probably even have not heard the name of, and that's Spencer Schrader. He is currently the Chiefs kicker as Harrison Butker is on IR. And as I mentioned, I feel like I've mentioned a lot today throughout all of our episodes. This is a Chiefs game. They're going to get back on track, and I just think they're going to be scoring on every drive. And Spencer Schrader, he's obviously somewhat of an unknown in the kicker department, but he's just going to get the opportunities to make kick after kick after kick. And he's not owned like literally anywhere, so go ahead, scoop him up, throw him in your lineup, and expect a good week for the new Chiefs kicker.
Yeah, Justin, I want to announce to everybody, the Dewey Nation, that live here on Doing Sports, I just dropped Justin Tucker and picked up Spencer Schrader. I'm going to take advice from my fellow partner here, my cousin, Justin. I think Justin has a point here. He might be the kicker of the week. They are playing Carolina there. They might be scoring a ton of points. So I like Schrader to get a good amount of field goals in there. For me, I'm going to go Chase McLaughlin there for the Tampa Bay. I think that Baker Mayfield is somewhat good enough to move this Buccaneers over the 50-yard line and kick some field goals there. He can kick some long range there. This Giants defense is able to be pushed around on the field. So give me that Tampa Bay kicker to have a great week.
Yeah, no, I like that. McLaughlin's been pretty on the money every game. I think he's missed one kick on the year. So he's been really good. Over the last month, he hasn't gotten like major boom games, like 14 plus, but he's a consistent guy, going to get you 7 plus, probably 7 to 12, and you're going to be happy with it. That's what you can take from a kicker. And obviously, as we always preach, if you had a kicker, get him on an offense that's good, and the Buccaneers offense is one of the better ones in the league. So I like that there. Dwayne Nation, those are our starts and sits of the week for week 12 of the fantasy football season. Hopefully this helps you guys set up your lineups. If you have any questions, though, more than welcome to message us, and we will help you out, help you set up your lineups to get you to win and make the playoffs and then win some gold, some championship gold or some money wherever. Just don't get punished. Don't be last place. Don't get into punishment. Make the playoffs. You can make the playoffs. I believe in you guys. Just utilize what we're giving you today. But thank you guys for listening. We love to do this. And Jano, send us out.
Yes, absolutely. Great said there, Justin. Yes, Dewey Nation, we love you guys. This is the run to the fantasy playoffs. Very critical week there as we would come down to the final three, maybe 4 weeks of the fantasy season. So this is what we draft in August for. It all comes down to these past couple weeks. Have fun. Hope all you guys get your victories, unless you guys are playing me. Hopefully not, or even Justin. So thank you guys for watching. We love you guys, and as always, peace.